is Sustainability Connect on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. And definitely the moment you hear that song, that is the 3 R's by Jack Johnson, right? You know it is Sustainability Connect. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And you know how we do it. We love interacting with you on all our social media platforms. That is Icon Radio, on Instagram, on Facebook. And you are streaming us live on www.iconradio.co.ke. And we are super glad today we have two amazing guests. But first and foremost, we are going to be talking to Edward Ngari Muriuki, and he's going to be telling us more about the carbon markets in Kenya. And then right after that, we're going to have Lynette Kamonde, who's the CEO of Ecotourism Kenya. So you do not want to miss that conversation. So thank you so much for joining us live. And remember, I'm your host, Maganjo. And today's topic are just going to blow your mind. And because we want to understand the carbon markets and, Edward is going to be talking to us about that in a short while. So right about now, we're going to take a short break. And remember, our WhatsApp line is +254. I always forget that. I have no idea why I keep forgetting that. It is +254 788 380030. Send us your short messages and let us know what your thoughts are up on the show, and we will be interacting with you. Remember, Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. Rihanna with the song Take a Bow right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. And we are glad you're joining us today on Wednesday for the Sustainability Connect show. And I'm your host, Maganjo. Remember, we love having an interaction with you guys, and we love talking to you guys and understanding you. Send us your questions on what you understand about the carbon markets. We love having an interaction whereby we get to know your thoughts. You hear some of these words and you have no idea what they mean. But luckily for us today, we have a very special guest who's going to introduce himself, tell us who he is, where he is from, and what Kirinyaga Carbon Projects is all about. So karibu sana, Edward. Mbona karibia mic. Umetulia. Najua safari si kidogo. Umetoka mbali. So kindly introduce yourself for our guests. Now utuambie umetoka wapi.
So my name is Muriuki Edward, and I'm from Kirinyaga, Kirugoya. I'm a carbon project developer with a company called EcoSpark Operations Limited. Mm-hmm. So we create carbon projects in forestry and agriculture. Mm-hmm. Then we use the carbon credits. So we use the carbon credits we generate to create markets, and we want to use. We're targeting the European market. Yeah.
All right. Sasa before tuende sana, before generating carbon markets, unaweza to explain here what is this whole story about carbon credits and carbon markets? Just breakdown of what it is all about.
So carbon credits first is a certificate that shows how much pollution has been reduced, removed, or avoided in the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So I would equate it like it's a title deed for air. Mm-hmm. So ukisafisha hewa, unapata certificate.
So kuna mtu alikuwa ananiambia anaona kama history ya carbon credits ni greenwashing. What do you think?
Unaweza sema ni greenwashing, but once you understand the science, it's usually not greenwashing because it makes a lot of sense. Uh-huh. There are guys who are polluting the air, and the best way to reduce that is using economic models. Mm-hmm. So the carbon credit is an economic model to reduce pollution, to discourage people from polluting. Mm-hmm. And it's a tool used by governments to drive sustainability. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but by the way, there's a definition of greenwashing. Mm. The reason why it's called greenwashing is because you do carbon project because of prestige and international recognition. Mm. So if you say that you're doing climate smart and you're not doing climate smart, there are people you're going to deceive and you'll be lying to them. So they put in money to do stuff that's
non-existent.
Yeah. Oh, so that's what is called greenwashing. Yeah.
So that is see stories za jaba.
I see stories za jaba. But currently, mi huambiwa sana niko na stories za jaba. Sielewi story.
So I mean, it's because people do not understand the carbon markets, and I don't know where you are in Kirinyaga. How many farmers are currently involved in some of the projects that I mean? Explain to us how Kirinyaga carbon projects works.
So first, the best is to first introduce and differentiate. So there is a local content to it, and as we follow the local content. So if you look at the government has climate agenda. Actually, the Kenyan government has done a very good job. We are very proactive in the African and the Caribbean scenes in context of the policies that we have in the country.
Okay.
So our project seeks to exploit the policies to create an advantage for us locally and internationally. So one of the major documents that we have is the nationally determined contribution. So what we, as a carbon project developer, have cascaded that into local context with the farmers. I've grown up in Kirugoya. They understand the Kirinyaga ecosystem. So we started with the horticultural farmers. Then we went to the tea farmers, and we've also done with coffee and rice farmers. So basically, out of that, we were able to create the baseline to quantify how much emissions we stand to reduce in those ecosystems. Then we've also been able to link up with community documents. For instance, in the community, we have the sub-catchment management plans developed under the water resource users.
Rua.
Yeah, the RUAs.
Yeah.
So they have a sub-catchment management plan for the area they cover. So with those documents and plus what someone does in their farm, they qualify to generate carbon credits.
Wow. So you work very closely with the RUAs?
For now, no. One of the greatest challenges we have, agriculture has been mainly under the donor space. And there's this donor dependency syndrome. But you see, carbon credit is highly, it's a big business. And you don't go into it for donations. You go to it to create an edge and make money. So you find the old school thinking does not tally with what we have. So we accepted that we are the Gen Zs and the millennials. We do things our way. So we've created our own systems. And it's something that guys have to understand and accept. It's different from the rest.
Okay. So explain to us how your systems are working at the moment.
So the way we do, for instance, one place that we have a very good case study is around Muriuki Forest. That is in Where East. Then in Where East, we planted trees, and I went in and created a group. I convinced them that we will do trees, and these trees will attract investment.
Okay.
So we did that, and we were able to attract some crates. So we were doing the French beans, so we attracted some crates. And we were to use those crates to scale the business, and we were to grow. But that failed because the expectations and also the financing models. Currently, we don't have a financial model that serves the agricultural systems, or a financial model specifically created to serve agriculture. So we failed at that, and at the same time, we failed because of the markets. Currently, you find, say, in Nairobi, there are guys who wait for food to be grown and be delivered to them. And then at the same time, there's no one who's there to help the farmer. So we're changing a model where we want to apply ESG, where if you want good food, you have to invest. It's like you're taking responsibility to get the good food. That way it's going to relieve the pressures of the farmers taking care of everything, and no one appreciates the farmers at the end of the day. But we're also avoiding to really speak farmers in old context. The farmers do not have a business model that is aligned to the main financial mainstream system.
So that is where now you come in and you help them try to develop that model.
No,
or
we developed the
you've
model.
already developed the model?
Yes. And so we're using carbon credits to make it profitable because it's not
Mm.
profitable in the business as usual case. And the best market to run this prototype is the European markets.
Mhm. So what are some of the economic benefits that farmers will get, or are there examples of, not even examples, like economic benefits for the farmers? Because one, like you said, when they access the markets and companies are compliant with the ESG reporting and they're plowing back into the communities. Give us an example of the economic benefit for that for the farmers.
Currently, if we were to tuonyeshane pesa, we might not be able to really show the money currently because it's not something that has been the mainstream and not very many people understand. But once we start speaking about the European market, the government has been very supportive to us. And we are being supported courtesy of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. And we've been exposed to an European funded project called the European Corsia African Caribbean Project. Corsia is the carbon market, the carbon trading mechanism for the aviation sector. So we are looking at tapping from the international aviation and not necessarily the Kenyan aviation. We're looking at the international aviation to attract investment to our climate actions. That's the agriculture and forestry. And so the way we've developed a case study, we can get an aviation company in, say, Netherlands or Germany, and then we would tell a story of climate action, but that story is about our food. So the more we tell climate change stories in Europe, the more we will sell our foods in Europe. That's the innovation that we're bringing. So you'll find, like now we're really targeting coffee because coffee is a good crop because it's not regulated under the Capital Markets Authority. So we'll play a game of numbers, play a game of financial instruments, and that will attract monies into the agricultural sector. Then we use the carbon credits to de-risk that investment. That's how we're looking at it.
Okay, so what is your clarion call to companies? Because I mean, the farmers need, companies need to plow back to the communities for them to generate carbon credits. So what is your clarion call to companies and asking them to, think about Kirinyaga carbon credits when they're thinking about offsetting their, or buying actually the credits?
We're looking, one of the value proposition that we are sharing the community, where the company is also part of the community, is safe food and nutrition. And so if you can look at most of the articles, if you speak about agrochemical poisoning, Mwea will always be on the list. And it is usually Mwea because Mwea has the highest concentration of markets that serves Nairobi, because we have Kagio market, we have the Makutano market, we also have the Kutus market, which are major markets that serve Nairobi. So when analyses are done, the foods have high levels of agrochemicals. And then the reason why there is high level of agrochemicals, something that I speak from experience, the agrochemical companies train the farmer to farm with chemicals. Like by the time they're going to engage farmers, it's about selling. And in our carbon project, one thing is we are adapting extension services to move from them being sales persons to them being risk managers. Because at the end of the day, they want business.
Yes.
So we create a value proposition for them from being risk managers. That means we can attract big chunks of money to the agricultural systems, and the agronomists will become risk managers of that investment on the ground because they understand the crops. So we're looking at if it's mainstreaming ESG, they mainstream ESG with an intention of creating impacts in society in a way that they can record, they can report, and make sense in the capital markets.
How do you ensure the accuracy of that?
It's going to be very tricky. First, for us, I have a background in statistics, so us speaking data and stuff is not a problem. But you see, carbon credits is usually at the top. It's usually at the top. It's at the very top. And so we use, actually carbon credits is going, if we look at it from the Article 6 perspective, it will be able to control all the other players. So we wait that one, I would say from the angle, we wait for government to tighten their belt. Then out of
This is in
tighten-
policy and law.
yeah, the policy and law. You see, like we have the climate change amendment. It's called the Climate Change Amendment Act 2023,
Yeah.
and we have the carbon markets regulations. So once the government now tighten that belt, you will find companies, especially the oil and gas companies, the financial institutions, the manufacturers, especially the cement and the steel companies, they now be expected to buy carbon credits. So now it will not be an issue of really begging, it will be an issue of compliance. So we're expecting our project to be one of that project that will help them comply
Okay.
and supply good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a tree planting, there's a coffee. What else?
Also, the way we approach, the way we've designed our carbon project, it's first tip, because we are a nature-based solution, the issue of trees is usually the baseline. And then it has to be linked to an economic activity. But you see also, we are not hunters and gatherers. So
Yeah.
we are an agricultural community. So we relate the conservation to agricultural practices. So once we do that, we create a value. And there is work that has been done under Kenya Accreditation Service. We already have a standard called ISO 17029. So we create value of those activities, those conservation activities and activities that are reducing emissions through that standard. Then it's out of that standard that we are going to relate with the carbon crediting program. So in our case, we're going to work with Vera. I don't know how Article 6.4 will be, but from what was there in one, I think some light is going to have something, but it is not yet. So instead of waiting and we're already in the game,
Yeah.
we want to work with Vera. So out of those, we're going.
Vera means
Vera is a carbon. It's a carbon crediting program. It's a company that issues the carbon credits, and they have the methodologies that we relate to. So out of those methodologies, now we are awarded the certificates. So those certificates are what are called carbon credits, and that
Yeah.
is what we trade.
yeah.
So and it is usually benchmarked on the ISO 17029 standard. So that's how.
So you have to make sure you're very compliant to that.
Yeah, and actually, by the time carbon credit is it's highly scientific and data based. So by the time the data system is making sense on the ground, then automatically it makes sense to the standards. As we understand it better, because we're in the statistics, we have a statistics background, so it's easier. Yeah.
Okay. So Vera is one of the certificates that we're going to be using to trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
When you
one of-
comply, are there others, or is that the main one?
No, there are others. For instance, in the Corsair, I told you Corsair, the
Corsair.
carbon trading
Yeah.
mechanism for international airline operators. So for under that, it's regulated by ICAO, the International Aviation Civil Organization,
Okay.
and there are 6, I think there are 8 programs currently that can supply eligible emissions units for the previous phase. We're starting another phase, 2024 to 2026. It's only only 2 programs that are qualified. I've not done my homework well, but the very common ones in Kenya is Gold Standard and Vera. But we're also going to have another one under the international UNFCCC system that is called Article 6.4.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be given a name, Sustainable Development Mechanism. Yeah.
How long have you been doing these carbon markets? Because it feels like it is just iko tu hapa tu kwa mkono tu unaielewa. Sisi wenyewe we literally had to look for experts to come and explain to us what the carbon markets are all about. So how long have you been doing this?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Has it been, 12 years, and right now is when we're having that boom. How has that journey been? Uh-huh.
Because we've already done. I engaged the first team of community women in 2012.
Mhm.
We did a good job.
Mhm.
Now you see we are from a scientific background,
Yeah.
but now groundly different.
Yeah.
Let's not go to the details, but it
Yeah.
didn't work.
Uh-huh.
But I used to learn. Like I've developed a project from ideation all the way to now. Currently, we're handling finance.
Mhm.
So we've gone ideation, forestry,
Mhm.
agriculture, post-harvest, trade,
Mhm.
and now we're in the financing bit. So you can imagine all those phases.
Yeah.
Been doing them and been self-financing them.
Oh, so how many groups do you have in support of this?
I have close to 7 groups.
Close to 7
Yeah,
groups.
seven groups. Every phase had its own group because see, by the time I was pitching what was it, and
Mhm.
so by the time that cafe inaisha inakuwa
Yeah.
transitioning, and then we've not been having support from the private sector,
Mhm.
but the government has been very supportive.
Mhm.
So, and the government is different government agencies.
Yeah.
So we've been able to develop a very concrete project,
Mhm.
and we currently, like we've been supported by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority.
Mm.
We are in talks with one of the exchanges in Netherlands, where we'll be trading our carbon credits, spots, spot. Then, from the look of things, the carbon credits is going to take its own path. So we want that focusing on having derivatives of our commodities. I think one of the because I'm not a finance guy, what I'm really waiting to see is a derivative of trees. So, because marketing has been a problem, so
Yeah.
we use the derivatives to market and engage companies. We don't want to do proposals. Carbon credit is not an issue of proposal.
Yeah.
It's you really value it, put the
Yeah.
money on it.
And it is a mandatory at the moment, right?
It's going to be. It's going to be internationally. It is because anyone who exported or imported from Europe, they paid for emissions.
Yeah.
So if say it's all the coffee or all the avocados that were shipped to Europe, they paid for emissions in their sea freight charges or their air freight charges. So us, what we're doing is we want to do a campaign that money comes back to us, and it should not be a favor. They're not doing us a favor because we have now the systems. So we want to use the capital markets to attract that investment. Because if we don't do it, it's going to go to another country. So we have to be proactive enough and get that investment.
All right. Thank you so much for that clarification, man. We really love this conversation. We're just gonna go on a short break at the moment. And then right about now, we are going to be discussing. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation, Edward. Just before the break, you were talking about how important government partnerships and government support has been for you. So right now, I just want to understand, what are the long-term goals of the Kirinyaga carbon projects, and how do you plan to scale up?
The main reason why we were doing our carbon project first is to attract investment to communities, especially the farming community. Then the other one is creating markets. For now, we are targeting the European market because we now have the support from the European Union. Then after that, we anticipate to do Africa Free Trade Area, explore Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, and South Africa. Then after that, we're going to try Canada. They already have a carbon tax. Yeah, Singapore. Because it's very proactive in all matters of carbon trading. And we also want to, the US government released guidelines on carbon markets. So we want, once we get the agreement that the Kenyan government and their government is discussing, we would want to see how the carbon markets is going to simulate that trade. Yeah, that's how we're looking at it, and that's a span of, say, 10 years.
So how can local and international organizations support Kirinyaga carbon projects?
For local, we're looking at how we're going to use insurance premiums and pensions to make various benefits. And one of the strategy is engaging the insurance and the pension companies investing in agriculture. So that means the food you eat, we want to monetize your eating of food through carbon credits. So we expect that workers, employees will be like in how does their pensions and their premiums contribute to their safe food. That's a very basic one. We're also looking at how the Kenyan community can invest in our project through a bond. We want to experiment on a climate smart agriculture bond. Where is the best place to run that? It's highly intensive and it is a mature market. Then we also look for the international markets. We are looking how can these companies, like how can they comply using our carbon project and still create an impact in the society. And we're looking at how we do business. So anywhere we take our carbon credits, we expect our food to be eaten.
Okay. So how do you support or how do you ensure that there is constant learning in terms of what strategies do you use to raise awareness about the carbon credits in Kirinyaga? Do you hold community barazas? I mean, how do you raise awareness?
I've been on it for 10 years. Not even 10 years, it's more than 10 years. And so I already have a name, carbon credits. We were speaking about carbon credits when no one knew even what they were.
Yeah.
And we usually create, I usually create my own groups. Like go to a community, assemble farmers together, teach them, then make them be in a group. Then we run a project. Like presently, we introduced the warehouse receipt system. So from the inception of the season, by the time we were starting doing the maize and the beans, we engaged the communities. Then we took the products to Sagana Depot and were issued with a warehouse receipt, which actually it is the first warehouse receipt in Mount Kenya region. So you see, by the time we were doing that, it was public participation. So if there's this tendency, weenda ufanye yako, ikiharibika, kuharibikia tutasoma na wewe. So you see, that means you're doing something that very many people are speaking about. So that's how we spread our knowledge. By the time like now currently we're doing the campaigns to Europe. So we've been speaking about Europe for the last 3 years. So now it is like we're doing Europe and we are intensifying that conversation of Europe. Then we use the local language. Tuongeage kizungu mingi tukiwa kwa ground. Yeah.
Which is very good because at the end of the day, unaongea na farmers. So unaongea dialect, unaongea Kiswahili, every language that they can understand. But now, hebu ni draw your roadmap. Yeah. From the company to the farmer.
That might be a little bit difficult because you see, by the way, farmers understand carbon credits better than guys in the offices.
Really?
In the offices should not think that they're the SI unit for understanding. So, and actually that's the reason why it is not the issues of carbon markets is not being understood. Because if say we want to convince someone in an office
that they need to support the farmers in Kirinyaga.
Yeah, or understanding the concept of carbon credits becomes very difficult convincing guys in the offices. So we've created our own system. Like we already have a knowledge. The farmer right now, they already know they lost. We've experienced drought. Excess floods. So they already have the first-hand experience on the losses that they have. Right? Then there's the issues of markets. We've suffered firsthand issues of markets. And regardless of having the losses, they've had good times. So it's relating to those good times and generating the content in context of a farmer. So actually, there are times usually tell a farmer, ungekuwa kwa ofisi, hii point yako ni kali. But now since they're in farming, they don't know how big their points are, but they generate knowledge.
So how do we talk to these companies? Is it more on the ground speaking? I mean, how do you want to talk to these companies?
The companies will now have to rely on communication experts because you find, like, I was speaking to someone in the banking sector and they were telling me that I have to meet people who will have to vet me They'll have to look to which university I went to. They will have to look at
How credible you are, eh?
have I been to Harvard?
Eh,
Mistakes don't count to us. Like us, we're good in science.
yeah,
We have the best researchers in Kenya.
yeah,
They might not be recognized in those degree what, but
Yeah.
we got good science.
yeah.
So you can imagine someone sio kwa ubaya lakini mtu wa art akikuja kutu assess to a science alafu mtu wa art ndio anaturate ili si ako fiti aje sasa. So,
Inakuwa ngumu.
yeah.
So that is also one of the challenges that you guys are facing, that people do not understand the carbon markets, because the people who are in place to, either create the policies or to help you navigate through the market, they've not understood the concept at all.
Yeah, they've not understood the concept. And let me say, like now you have the mic, right?
Yeah.
So, but us, we're on the ground, but we have the science.
Yeah.
So we need to have a cohesion.
Yeah.
By the time you're using the mic, you will speak to what we want. Because like nowadays, I'm happy. The scientists are like, you're coming to a space. You have to do what is not so, just leave us. It has gotten to those levels, especially in agriculture. Because you find like there are companies who are coming and they're thinking that they can bulldoze us into some things. We already know the science and we already understand what is in it for us. So it's not the outside party that come and tell us what we have to do. So those are the challenges. And when we speak, some people think we are arrogant. We're not arrogant. We need our space.
Yeah.
But we also need to know an expert. We need a communication expert. We need to work and understand each other so that we can disseminate the information that is right and then create an edge for us. Carbon credits is highly prestigious. So you can imagine by the time you're coming to do carbon credits, like, it's my way.
And speaking of, I know you're trying to simplify this jargon and this conversation using the Ugali Mix Challenge. Maybe you can touch a bit on that before we wind up.
Oh, okay. So the Ugali Mix Challenge, it's a concept of engaging farmers who are involved in the climate smart aspect. So in the climate smart, we have customized the thinking of farmers in a way that they are not just looking at producing, they're looking up to the plate. Then we're looking at the urban community where they don't know about what goes on in the farm, but they know what goes on the plate. So we're looking at having that conversation on Ugali Mix, how nutritious Ugali Mix is.
So it's a competition.
It's a self-competition, I would say. Yeah, so we're looking at who can do the most nutritious food on the plate. And then we're inviting companies to invest in the Ugali Mix Challenge. It's an ESG, because we find like in the communities, especially in the airport communities, they don't have, they are not outdoors jobs. So there are very many cases of non-communicable diseases. So you see a company within the airport would invest in Ugali Mix to ensure their workers eat healthy, and at the same time they're involved with environment affairs. So that could be even used for mental health. So basically that is what Ugali Mix is. There's a conversation of Ugali Mix literally, and there's a conversation of ESG and the carbon markets.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do we get involved in the Ugali Mix as the community?
Currently, we are now looking for partnership. Like we anticipate to have a partnership with you and Icon Radio. How can this knowledge be disseminated? There's a lot of know-how that needs to be disseminated in local context. So until we do that, then we might not really give a very concrete way of how to do it, because there's so much that is there, and we know it doesn't have space. So we have first to create for it space so that we can know the direction to take.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Maybe your final thoughts on where or how you envision the future of sustainable agriculture and carbon markets in Kenya is like. In 1 minute.
It's carbon credit is about to, the carbon markets are about to explode.
Yeah.
Because we currently having the Corsair that is in aviation. Then we're going to have the maritime, because they're going to the maritime emission tax that is in shipping. and you see that it's not something that has been explored yet. Then we have the oil and gas companies waiting to see. So currently, I would say it's big. It's going to be a big thing. We can't actually explain because we don't have the data. So the best is guys should consider Kirinyaga Carbons. Then it's going to be a learning experience because if say we are having a group of millennials in Nairobi, we have to negotiate and customize how they're going to benefit. So that's would be the best.
All right. So how do people get to reach you?
Currently, we are on LinkedIn. We want to drive the hashtag Ugali Mix Challenge. That would be the best starting point.
And then there's an event actually in July. Was it 26, 27?
Yes. That is, we're trying to activate the carbon markets in local context. The reason why we don't have very straight answers is because we are in a very crude space. We need first to refine before we go public. There are things we'll be speaking and people will not be understanding. So if they don't understand, then it will be the logical way of shouting. So currently what we really need is a collaboration of us, the scientists. I have quite a number of scientists and the communication experts and create something. So out of that creation is what we can really tell the people this is what we have. Because we can confuse guys. You see, like we have the farmers, we have
The scientists.
we have quite a number of people simultaneously working simultaneously, but in different spheres.
All right. So the 26th and the 27th is a platform for just what?
Also, that is, it's linking the aviation sector and the agricultural sector in Kirinyaga County. And it's going to be a session within the More Irrigation Scheme. That's a corporate event where issues of carbon markets in aviation will be created awareness on. Then on the second day, it will be at the Wanjiku airstrip, where it will be a symbolic linking the aviation sector and the agricultural sector together over a cup of coffee. In that coffee, we will be driving the derivatives conversation.
Wow, wish you all the best, man. We're going to be there to support you and just tell these stories because huku Kenya tuelewi hii mambo. There's so many people who are like, what are carbon markets? We needed to understand. And thank you so much for coming to demystify for us some of these complex, messages about carbon markets. And what is your key takeaway today?
Key takeaway is we've started. Today is the starting of it. We hope to go big nationally and in Africa and the world.
All right. So you can find Edward on LinkedIn as
Edward Ngari Muriuki.
Edward Ngari Muriuki. And the Kirinyaga Carbons Project?
Yeah, Kirinyaga Carbons. It's a hashtag Ugali Mix.
Oh, Ugali Mix. All right. Hashtag Ugali Mix.
Mix challenge.
Mix challenge, eh? So kama unajua kupika ugali, Bosco. But see you. So thank you so much, Edward, for coming into Icon Radio and having this conversation with us about, the carbon markets. And you've helped us understand a bit more and a bit better what the carbon markets are all about and how important it is for us to localize some of these policies so that, we start making solutions based on local problems. Yeah? So thank you so much. And would you want to share do you have any other socials beside LinkedIn? I'm uko tu sawa.
Say socials to now. It's a hot show.
Yeah.
What if you
Sawa. All right. Thank you so much, Muriuki, for being part of this conversation. And right about now, we are going up into the hour. And when we come back, we're coming back with Miss Lynette Kamonde, who's the CEO of Ecotourism Kenya. So thank you so much for joining us. And remember, this is Sustainability Connect on Icon Radio, your #1 entertainment plug.